Hello again and welcome to this new tutorial about freehand drawing. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you more information about dimensioning. For example, take a look at this part. For example, I'm going to start by drawing the dimensions for the depth. Okay, so like this, one of them. Remember, 3 squares is the distance between the part and the first dimension line. Remember again, here we have 2 distances to give, this and this, so we must give one of them and then the overall here. So now I'm drawing the overall depth, like this. Okay. So now the heights. Talking about the heights, I have to give 3 distances. This height, and this height. So instead of doing this, we have to give one height, the second height, and then the overall height. Okay, let's do it. Here, here, don't go across the part when possible, and don't cross dimension lines, please. Very important. When possible, don't cross dimension or extension lines. Okay? Maybe you need to do so to cross extension lines sometimes, but try to cross dimension lines. Never do it. Okay. So now here we are going to use, this is part number 2, sorry. So here we are going to use a scale. One, 2, 5. Okay, scale 1 to 5. That means that this distance is 16 millimeters in the drawing, so in real life will be 5 times bigger. So 80. Remember the orientation of the numbers so you can read them from the right hand of your drawing. Okay, here, and now here 2 more squares beyond the overall height. Okay, that will be 240. Okay, the numbers centered between the arrows of the dimension line. So here 80, 240. That's it. Now finally the width. Here, for example, the gap 3 squares again, 80, and the overall width 240. Okay, so here we have the two dimensions for the width, the 3 dimensions needed for the height, and here the 2 dimensions needed for the depth. Okay, more information. For example, here we need to know 3 heights: this step, this step, this step. So don't say, oh, but this one is supposed to be exactly the same as this one. Don't do so. Don't take that for granted. You must give all the distances needed. Okay, don't take one of them, anyone, for granted. Okay, so here you have to give one height, another height, and the overall height. The same for the depth. This one. Let's do it. For example, here, this one, the other one. I'm tracing now the extension lines. One arrow. The arrows must be sharp, like these ones. Here, for example, I'm going to use a scale 1 to 10. So 16 in the drawing, 160, 160 here. And now the overall. Okay, so to give the overall height, we can use this space here under the left side view, like this. Okay, that's it. Okie dokie. So the same for the height, and only one dimension needed for the width. Okay, more new ideas. Okay, I'm going to talk about scales, the scales you have to use. For example, these are the standard scale for everybody around the world. We have 3 types: reducing scales, full scale, and enlarging scales. That's it. So for us reducing scales, we have 1 to 2, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 100, 1 to 200. As you can see, the pattern is the same as banknotes and coins follow. Every number starting by 1, 2, or 5. Oh, sorry. 1 to 50 is here, must be here in between. Okay, so 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, 1 to 500, and so on. So I want you to use this scale for part number 1, 1 to 5 for part number 2, 1 to 10 for part number 3, 1 to 20 for part number 4, 1 to 50 for part number 5, and that's all. Okay, so you have to start over again. 1 to 2 for part number 6, 1 to 5 for part number 7, and so on. We are not going to use by now other scales, but you have to understand that, for example, the full scale, the so-called full scale, is the scale 1 to 1. For example, imagine we need to draw a remote, for example, the remote of your TV. So we will use the scale 1 to 1 because we can fit the object properly in the page at the real size. Okay, so 1 to 1. When the object is bigger than your paper, we need to use these reducing scales. And for example, to draw tiny parts, we need to enlarge to see clear the part in your paper. Okay, so we need to make it bigger. In that case, we will use the enlarging scales 2 to 1, 5 to 1, 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 50 to 1, and so on. The pattern is exactly the same. We will have number 1 to the right, and to the left we will have numbers starting by 1, 2, and 5. Okay, these are the standard scales. Okay, moving on. New information. From part 5, you have to start drawing center lines and hidden lines. Let's see. For example, hidden lines. Here we have a tunnel. Can you see that? Here we have a tunnel. So we have here some lines of the part, but they are hidden. To draw those lines, we have to do this. You have to draw the line, but the line must be a dashed line. Okay? Dash, dash, dash. And here the same, because here we have the same tunnel and it is hidden. So dash, 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 dash. Can you see? Dash, 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 dash. Okay, that's all for this part, but remember, you have to use hidden lines from part number 5 on. More things. Center lines. You have to draw this line. Dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash. This center line, this dash dotted line, must be drawn beyond the part itself, about 4 millimeters each end. Okay? These center lines are telling us that the part is identical from the line to the left and from the line to the right. Okay? So here we will have another center line. Okay? Please note that these parts are incomplete. You have to draw the dimensions. Be careful because we never use hidden lines to draw dimensions. Don't do this. Don't continue a hidden line to draw an extension line. It is wrong. Understood? You have to use, for example, to give this height, this line, because it is not hidden. Okay, moving on again. For example, sometimes in some drawings, when you draw hidden lines, then you have to draw 2 center lines, because center lines can be vertical or horizontal. Okay, so for example, in this view we will have one horizontal center line and one vertical center line. Okay, when you finish a drawing, for example this one, you have to do this. You have to write here your full name, for example, using please a permanent marker. Okay, so Raúl Pérez Sánchez, and please your group. Okay, like this. I repeat, with a permanent magnet. After doing that, you have to scan the picture, okay, the page, the full page, using, for example, your mobile phone, and then save it as PDF, and using, for example, an app called Simple Scan, and then you have to upload the file to the virtual classroom, okay, one by one, starting by part number 1. This is very important, please. Don't start doing a new part, don't start drawing a new part before being completely sure that the previous part is perfectly done, okay, with all the details, dimensions, and everything else. Okay, so I think this is all the relevant information for you. For example, in case I'm forgetting something, I will tell you in the comments of this video. Okay, see you soon in class. Bye.